you for being with us on today's edition of Homefront. We're excited about the information that we are going to share with you. We're going to walk you through the process of becoming free indeed. For who the Son has set free is free indeed. Stay with us to find out how you can be financially free in trying economic times. We're with Don Phoenix, who's the Southern District Director for NeighborWorks America. Thank you so much for being with us today, Don.
Yes, and thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yes.
Would you please articulate what NeighborWorks America is to our viewers?
And I think I'm going to do a better job this time than what I've done with my mother. NeighborWorks America is a national community development intermediary that provides support to local community revitalization efforts.
It's obvious, Don, that you have a passion to help people. Where did this come from? How was it birthed? What impact do you think your life has had over the years?
Well, I think it really began from childhood. I lived in a very small, remote type community in a southern town called Savannah, Georgia. And we had a very good sense of community at that time. We looked out for each other, and we practiced the whole art of neighboring. We didn't label it that at that time, but everyone took care of each other. And so that's sort of what I've learned to do.
Let's talk about the present economic situation. What is your take on what's happening in our country today?
Very, very tough. A little bit scary, but I feel that we can hunker down and we can see ourselves through it. But it will require a lot of work and a lot of patience from a lot of people.
What is your relationship to nonprofit organizations?
NeighborWorks America provides support to nonprofits by providing grants and technical assistance and training. And that's very important because we don't actually do any work ourselves, but we support the nonprofits who are doing the work in the community. And the agenda that they are mandated is usually provided by the residents of that community.
And what is your role with nonprofit organizations and housing counseling organizations? What are nonprofits in the housing industry? Some people might not even know what that is.
The nonprofits really are involved in every aspect of community, a broader economic development activity, particularly now that deals with workforce development and really the development of small businesses. And it extends to housing development, and they do much of what the private sector does in providing affordable housing for people in communities. And I might add that an essential component of providing affordable housing is preparing the families to enjoy their housing experience. And you notice that I did not just zero in on home ownership, because we believe that families should have a good, decent quality of life and a nice place to stay, regardless of whether they own it or if they're renting.
Tell us who should tap into nonprofits.
We believe that the community as a whole, particularly the corporate sector, the civic sector, and the public sector, should take advantage of the wealth of experience that these nonprofits have. Not only that, the passion that they have for this work. Many times, good ideas are conceived about how to help community, but it's very difficult to reach people. And nonprofits are in a position to really have the trust of the community, and they're able to really get at the real heart of the matter in dealing with the community. And the people are more willing to follow them and take advice from them than someone that's in a corporate student-tired type setting.
Do you feel like you're seeing results?
Absolutely. You know, when you asked me earlier about this economic climate that we're in, I could think back to a few years when we've had some tough times. The nonprofits has been the mainstay, and they're the ones that are there. And when things get tough, they don't leave, they don't fold up, they're not worried about the bottom line, they're committed to mission. So there's a real role for nonprofit, and they are usually the last entity standing when the community really needs them. Yes.
Here, here. I love
Yes.
that, and I
Good.
certainly don't hear it enough when I'm listening to the news about what is going on in our economy today. Why
Right.
is that?
Oh, it's because I think people are more interested, and this is kind of sad, people are more interested in their individual situation. And so for them, it's not the overall impact of what's happening to community, but it's what's happening to them. And it's very difficult for them to focus on things from a community perspective. So the nonprofit who is really interested in individual betterment, but it's a community approach to doing it. It's not just helping one individual, but helping a community sustain itself. And sometimes that's not the best thing to talk about. I'm saddened because the news is usually who got murdered or who stole what. And I'm sorry, if you really go into communities, you see some great things happening, great family values, but for some reason that doesn't get captured in the media as much.
Very, very well stated.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you know, we're connected, but we're not a part of government. We are an independent agency. We get an annual appropriation from Congress, and our governing body happen to be the president appointees for the major financial industry regulatory agencies in the country. For instance, our board chair is Governor FDIC, and we have representatives from the Federal Reserve, from the Office of Thrift Supervision, from the Office of the Control of the Currency. The HUD Secretary has a seat on our board, as well as representatives from the National Federal Credit Union Administration. So, while we are not a government agency, we really operate with great ethics, and our mandate is for the good of the public. And so that way, some people do tend to think, because of our close association, that we are a government agency, but no, we are independent. But we enjoy a great relationship with the public sector. In fact, we often ask, well, who do you get the best support from, Republicans or Democrats? And I'm telling you that we have no problem with either side of the aisle, that both parties, and including the independents, see the value of NeighborWorks and the work that we're doing and the people that we're helping in the community. You know, I think that institutions are great, and clearly NeighborWorks is a great organization and we're doing good work. But you know, I think in order to sustain the work that we do, we have to have people that are committed to helping each other in order for it to be sustainable. We could help build a community, but we can't sustain it. So it's up to the local community to decide that we're going to maintain our efforts, and we're going to sustain ourselves over time. So it's all that old adage of being a good neighbor, being a good Samaritan, or whatever. You could take it from a biblical reference. But, you know, that person did stop to help someone on the road to Samaria, and it still applies today. So being a good citizen means caring for each other and helping out for others.
Amen.
I agree.
Don Phoenix from NeighborWorks America, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
In today's economy, we need wisdom. We need to know what direction to go in to make the right decision. And I want to encourage you, because there are so many resources out there for you to access. There are organizations called housing and finance authorities throughout the country And to find out what resources for down payment assistance if you're purchasing a home that you can access, contact your state's Housing and Finance Authority to find out what resources are available. There could be some government down payment assistance or special loan to help you. If you're facing foreclosure, you can go to a website that is www.hud.gov. And if you go to hud.gov and find out a housing counseling agency in your area, you can find out where to access free help for your foreclosure situation. They're trained professionals, intact, ready, willing, and able to help you for absolutely free. We want you to access all things that pertain to life and godliness and do it utilizing God's wisdom. And there are organizations out there that can help you. Step out and do it by faith. If you're facing a challenge or if you want to buy a house, just believe God that He has a pathway for you. If you walk by faith and not by sight in challenging situations or when you're attempting to move yourself from one position to the next, God will partner with you along the way. You need to get your credit straight if you're purchasing a home. These days, lenders are more stringent than ever before, and you need to have a good credit score. Order your credit report. There's a free source for that. You can go to annualcreditreport.com and find out what your credit report is for absolutely free. You can get a credit report free once a year with no problems at all. Just go to www.annualcreditreport.com or dial 877-322-8228 so that you can find out where you stand and make some wise decisions. Properly plan your pathway for life and godliness. The United States Department of Agriculture Rural Development Arm has resources available to you with special loans that are government assistance, 100% loans, and they also give you special interest rates as a subsidy if you can financially fit their criteria. You'd be surprised at the resources that are available to you. And I want to encourage you today to seek out solutions for your personal financial situation so that you can have the success that you need. There are wonderful courses available through Crown Financial or Dave Ramsey. If you're doing great with your finances and you want to move to the next level, study to show yourself approved. Become a student for your financial world. Move yourself from one level to the next so that you can give more into the kingdom. God says that if you ask, you can receive. If you seek, you'll find. And if you knock, the door will be open unto you. Seek out the proper pathway for your financial world. Make life better for you, for your family, and for the people around you. Find ways to be a better giver. Find your pathway to life and godliness and good success today. We want you to get knowledge because knowledge is your life. It'll help you make the right decisions in trying economic times, even in good times. You want to go from glory to glory. So listen as we share with more industry experts.
No problem, Millicent. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this. No problem. NeighborWorks America is a nonprofit organization created by Congress back in 1978. We were created to provide assistance to community-based organizations that have a mission for revitalizing communities. We basically provide them with funding, direct financial support. We also provide them with technical assistance in which we go out and try to enhance their business practices. And we also provide training for enhancing the capacity of nonprofit organizations.
And while you're out there on the ground with these nonprofits, what have you discovered?
That it's a lot of work. Nonprofit organizations are pretty much true to their mission. When they talk about revitalizing communities, they are on the ground really trying to make a difference and trying to stabilize the communities that they are working in. We know that they put in countless hours in trying to build the leadership support of residents there, in addition to rehabbing and beautifying the communities that they are working in. For working in a nonprofit organization, it is really about passion. Most of the executive directors and presidents of those organizations have a lot of passion for the work that they do, which is vital to trying to fulfill those missions, which is not an easy task for them to do. Well, personally, my passion is giving back, working collectively to try to build and sustain these organizations. It's not easy, like I mentioned before, the work that they do. What I feed off of is helping sustain those organizations. If an organization is around 10 years from now, that fulfills my passion. Ensuring that I provide them with technical assistance that allows them to sustain and continue to contribute to the communities that they're trying to serve. Meeting an executive director that is very passionate about the work that they do, but also that is committed to serving the public and serving the people in those communities and trying to put them in houses or revitalize their communities or even rehab the house that they currently live in. That's important, and that feeds in some of the passion that I have for working with nonprofit organizations. Well, what's happening is that a lot of people are having a difficult time really seeing what the future holds for them. What I think nonprofits do is help them understand that this is not the end of the world. We've been here before. We talk a lot about the Great Depression. We may not be at the extent of this Great Depression, but what makes it different is that was back in 1939. This is now 2010, and we're living this, we're experiencing this. A lot of people just don't realize, what does my future hold for me? I think the nonprofit organizations help people and put people at ease about that particular future. We try to convince them that this is not the end of the world. Just because a bad thing is happening to good people doesn't mean that you have to give up trying and that you have to lose hope, which a term that has been thrown around a lot. But I think that's what is really important. That is the state of where we are, where we're going in the future. We've been here before, and we will overcome this the same way it was overcome back in 1939 with the Great Depression. The stability of nonprofit organizations sustains some of that. I mean, these communities, although we're facing a tragedy around foreclosures, those houses are still being maintained there. Nonprofit organizations are there. They're working collectively and making sure that those homes maintain and trying to find good individuals to put back into those homes as well. So the future, I think, is bright. Why? Because we still have people that believe in what they do, believe in the communities that they're trying to serve, and we will rebuild those communities. We will sustain the families and individuals that are no longer in those communities as well, and hoping that we can put them back into those communities. No, I don't think the media provides an opportunity for really educating people the way that they could. What I think happens is that the media just provides sound bites, and sometimes the sound bites may be good, sometimes the sound bites may not be good. But I don't think it is the media's responsibility. I think we have to do a better job of nonprofit organizations in marketing our organizations, marketing the products and the services that we have to offer to ensure people that there is help out there for them, that there is an assurance out there. If they need financial planning, if they need financial awareness, they can go to these nonprofit organizations and get it. If they need assistance in trying to figure out how do I sustain, how do I maintain my home, nonprofit organizations do it. What needs to happen is that we need to have more dependent on our own resources of being able to market ourselves and not necessarily through the particular media. If we take on that responsibility and working collectively, I think that we do a better job and a better service in being able to promote nonprofit organizations and not letting the media simply tell our story for us.
How does someone find the resources of a nonprofit or a housing counselor?
Well, there are a number of ways. One is that I think banks are still committed. Although they are struggling in some regards and have pulled back some funding, they are trying to figure out what are better ways to be able to serve nonprofit organizations, and in particular the housing counseling organizations. Funding is also provided through NeighborWorks America. As I mentioned before, we provide direct funding to nonprofit organizations for sustaining and maintaining their businesses. But one of the things that I think that is not given enough awareness to is the commitment from Congress and being able to support the nonprofit organizations and the housing counseling organizations. Congress made a commitment initially to provide support through the NFMC program, which is the National Foreclosure Mitigation Counseling Program, to support housing counseling organizations so that they can provide services out there. They are doing a tremendous job in being able to help people to sustain home ownership, and then if they're not able to sustain home ownership, helping them find the resources that are out there for them so that they don't have a bad situation there. So there are resources out there. They can go to a number of places like our website and working with the housing finance agencies in each state around being able to get funding for being able to sustain home ownership as well.
Very good.
Good. I'm glad that you asked that question. I was actually just in Florida a couple weeks ago, in which we were working with Florida A&M University and working with students, preparing students how to work with families that might be victimized by these particular scams that are out there. One of the scams that is most prevalent is an organization indicating to a homeowner that they can help them save their house from foreclosures. And what they do is that they charge these individuals a certain fee for being able to do it, and then they can't deliver on what they have promised those individuals. They're getting them to sign a contract. The individual puts all of their hopes, all of their desires, all of their means into this company, and then next thing you know, the company goes out of business or is nowhere to be found. Those are scams. No individual should ever have to pay for foreclosure intervention counseling. That's why the housing counseling agencies are there. They are free of charge. I tell you, they are free of charge. If anybody asks you to pay for it, then that's not the right situation for you. That's one way. Another way is equity stripping. Individuals are saying, hey, why don't you sign over your deed to me? And then what you can do is rent back your home for a period of time. And then what I will do is allow you to buy back your home. That's a scam out there. That is not the right way to handle a foreclosure situation. There are a lot of people who are being taken advantage of in those situations, signing over their house, renting it back, and then next thing you know, the company goes out of business again. There are lawyers out there that are taking advantage of individuals. There are businessmen that are out there. Again, the Housing Counseling Agency is your greatest advocacy for trying to save your home. And so again, we have to do a better job in marketing that. We have to do a better job in educating the public that there is free assistance out there. So we don't want you to be victimized by these scams. Again, call a housing counseling agency and make sure it's a HUD-approved housing counseling agency. Go to HUD's website and put in the name of the organization and see if they are a HUD-approved housing counseling agency. If they're not, then look and see which ones are, and then call them and get the assistance that they need.
Excellent. I love it.
Good. Well, you know, it's interesting. I know who is my source. So anything that is out there, I do not look from a promotion from the job or from anybody else. I look from it from above. And that's what I depend on. So when I'm talking to people out there, is that they have to know who their source is. And God is my source. Jesus Christ is my Heavenly Father. That is my source. That's where I put my trust in. And He will provide me with everything that I need to be able to sustain my family, to be able to sustain my own individual self as well. I look from Him for my guidance and my strength.
Amen. I completely agree with that. And even for the people that are struggling right now.
I totally agree with Totally Free.
Do you have any final comments?
No, I just want to thank you and commend you for the efforts that Totally Free has done, on the Homefront Network as well, for providing a greater awareness about the work that we're able to do with nonprofit organizations. That's the type of media that we need more. But what you have done is saying, hey, you know what, we need to market a better way of the services and the products that we're offering here, not dependent on Fox News, not dependent on ABC News, not dependent on these other news medias to do those sound bites. We really need to drive this home. And so I commend you and thank you for that opportunity, for being able to share.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Marshall Crawford, Management Consultant for NeighborWorks America. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us on today's edition of Homefront. Visit our website, call us, or write us so that you can get more information on the industry experts from all over the country that we've been interviewing on this program and previous shows. We want to walk with you to see that you have prosperity, good success, and all things that pertain to life and godliness in this world. I'm Millicent Harwell, and I'll see you again soon.
Call or visit our website for a resource book on all Homefront guests and programs offered through Totally Free Incorporated for any donation. If you are encouraged by our show, we welcome any tax-deductible donation. Your financial support empowers us to reach the masses with help in their financial world. Call 866-731-FREE or visit homefrontdestiny.org.